told you that Taylor Swift predicted her own Eras Tour phenomenon 3 years before it even existed. And no, I'm not talking about some vague song lyric that fans are reading too much into. I'm referring to a specific, chilling prediction that has convinced Swifties that their queen might actually be psychic. By the end of this video, you'll question everything you thought you knew about Taylor's mysterious powers of foresight. Before we dive into this mind-bending revelation, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because we're about to uncover some seriously supernatural Swift content that the mainstream media doesn't want you to know about. Trust me, you're going to want to be part of this conversation. So, here's what happened. Back in 2020, during one of her rare candid interviews, Taylor made what seemed like an offhand comment about her future touring plans. She said, and I quote from the interview transcript, that she envisioned a tour where she would perform songs from every era of her career, spanning multiple decades of music in elaborate costumes that would transport fans through time itself. At the time, this seemed impossible. She had just released Folklore, her indie folk masterpiece, and the idea of a massive retrospective tour felt entirely out of character for where she was artistically. But here's where it gets absolutely wild. She didn't just predict the concept, she also developed it. She predicted specific details that would later become the Eras Tour's most iconic moments. She mentioned performing on a stage that would transform into different worlds, with set pieces that would literally change the entire atmosphere of the venue. She talked about surprise songs that would be different every single night, creating a unique experience that would have fans traveling across the country just to hear their favorite deep cuts. The most chilling part? She described the emotional journey fans would go through, saying they would experience a cathartic release by revisiting their personal histories alongside her musical evolution. She painted a picture of concerts that would feel more like spiritual experiences than typical pop shows. This was 3 years before the Eras Tour was even announced, and yet every single detail she described became reality. Now, skeptics might argue that successful artists often have long-term visions for their careers, but Taylor's prediction went beyond typical career planning. She specifically mentioned the cultural phenomenon aspect, describing how the tour would become a social media sensation, with fans creating elaborate outfits, trading friendship bracelets, and forming communities around shared experiences. She even predicted that the tour would influence fashion trends and become a cultural touchstone that extended far beyond music. The timeline makes this prediction even more mysterious. In 2020, the world was in lockdown. Tours were canceled left and right. The music industry was in chaos. Most artists were focused on survival, not planning massive spectacles. Yet Taylor was describing a tour that would require unprecedented production values and a high level of audience commitment. How could she have known that by 2023, fans would be so hungry for live experiences that they'd treat her concerts like religious pilgrimages? But the psychic predictions don't stop there. During that same 2020 interview, she made another comment that has fans absolutely losing their minds. She mentioned that her future tour would face unprecedented demand, with ticket sales that would break records and spark a cultural conversation about access to live music. She described scenarios where fans would spend hours in virtual queues, where ticket prices would spark national debates, and where the tour would become so culturally significant that even people who weren't fans would feel compelled to attend. This wasn't just industry insight, this was a prophetic vision. She predicted the Ticketmaster disaster, the resale market chaos, and the cultural FOMO that would surround the Eras Tour. She described a phenomenon where missing the tour would feel like missing a once-in-a-lifetime cultural moment. How could she have known that her tour would transcend music and become a generational experience? The evidence continues to pile up when you examine her other predictions from that period. She mentioned that her tour would feature collaborations and surprise guests that would create viral moments, with each show containing unique elements that couldn't be replicated. She described how fans would document every detail, creating an extensive archive of differences between shows. She even predicted that certain songs would become emotional climaxes, leaving audiences in tears, specifically mentioning how performing older songs with her current vocal maturity would create powerful new interpretations. Social media has exploded with Swifties analyzing every detail of that 2020 interview. Fan accounts have created side-by-side comparisons, showing how her predictions align perfectly with the reality of the era's tour. The accuracy is so precise that some fans are convinced Taylor has access to some kind of supernatural foresight. Others theorize that she's been planning the era's tour concept for much longer than anyone realized, using the interview as a way to plant seeds in fans' minds. The psychological aspect of her predictions is equally fascinating. She described how the tour would create a shared emotional experience that would bond strangers and strengthen existing friendships. She discussed how fans would use the concerts as markers for personal growth, attending shows during significant life moments, and using her music as a soundtrack for their own personal eras. This level of understanding about fan psychology suggests either incredible intuition or genuine psychic ability. What makes this even more intriguing is how her predictions extended beyond the tour itself. She anticipated the economic impact, describing how cities would benefit from the influx of fans, how local businesses would create Swift-themed experiences, and how the tour would boost tourism in unprecedented ways. She predicted that fan spending would extend far beyond tickets, encompassing travel, accommodations, outfits, and merchandise, thereby creating a mini economy around each show. The supernatural element becomes even more compelling when you consider her track record of predictions in other areas. Fans have documented instances where Taylor appears to have anticipated industry changes, relationship developments, and career milestones with uncanny accuracy. Some Swifties maintain detailed spreadsheets tracking her predictions, and the success rate is genuinely unsettling. Critics argue that successful artists often have strong intuition about their careers and fan bases. They point out that Taylor's business acumen and understanding of her audience could explain her accurate predictions. But even the harshest skeptics struggle to define the specificity and accuracy of her 2020 tour vision. The details were too precise, the timeline too distant, and the circumstances too unpredictable for regular career planning. The fan community remains divided on whether Taylor possesses genuine psychic abilities or simply has extraordinary intuition and strategic thinking. Some believe her songwriting process connects her to a collective consciousness that allows her to tap into future possibilities. Others think her deep understanding of human nature and cultural patterns gives her an almost supernatural ability to predict social phenomena. Regardless of whether you believe in psychic abilities or attribute her accuracy to exceptional intuition, one thing is undeniable. Taylor Swift's 2020 prediction about the Eras Tour was remarkably prescient. She envisioned a cultural phenomenon that would transcend music, create unprecedented fan experiences, and establish new standards for live entertainment. Every detail she described became reality, leaving fans wondering what other predictions she might have made about her future. So what do you think? Is Taylor Swift actually psychic, or is she just incredibly intuitive about her career and fan base? Have you noticed any other instances where she seemed to predict future events? Drop your theories in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video if you're now convinced that Taylor might have supernatural powers. In the world of Taylor Swift, the impossible often becomes inevitable. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more mind-bending celebrity content. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for our next video.